Salutations all. Welcome back to another kitchen adventure. What are we getting into today? Well, today, the cuisine, French. The dish, white bean cassoulet, which is their fancy way of saying stew. It's stew. It's pretty much what it is. But the person of interest for today is Louise Marie-Thérèse, also French. Born in the 1600s, she's gone by many names throughout history. The Negroid Nun, or the Maurice de Moret, or I guess it'd be like de Moret. The Maurice means the Moor or the Mooress. So if you know about the history of the Europe, right? Now she is the daughter of the Queen of France, who is Marie Theresa from Spain. How do these tie in? Well, if you do a little history on Spain, the Moors have a long and deep history within Spain. So that's how you get black people from Spain that are living in France. But enough of that. Please, do a little research. Check her out. Louise Marie-Thérèse, the Black Nun of Moret. Now, let's get into this dish. All right. So, for the sake of time, because I went ahead and I got our mise en place lined out, but I wanted to point something out to you. You're going to notice there are two things that are missing from the ingredient list that are not going to be seen in this video. The first one is going to be chorizo. That was just a personal choice. I didn't want to go to the store. Instead, I'm going to do a little bit of chili powder and a little smoked paprika to get that flavor, a little bit of that flavor back into the dish. Second one you're going to notice is the breadcrumbs. I'm here in Texas. I made cornbread. It just feels right. All right. So let's talk about the meat. I'm using a top round. All right. Use meat of your choice. If you really want to make this dish pop, mouth-watering, grease down your chin, try using a little bit of cubed brisket. All right. Now I've cut the top round into about ½ to a ¼ chunks there. Season that up with some salt and pepper. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to slide on over to the cast iron. You know, it's one of my favorite things to use. And we're going to just brown this beef off a little bit, right? Let's do that. All right. So we got our cast iron warmed up nicely, ready to go. We're going to hit it with just a little bit of oil, just to help the beef out a little bit, not too much. And remember, all we're going to do right now is brown this beef off just a little bit, searing it off just a touch, right? Typically a traditional cassoulet is actually built separately. So you would cook your beans in one pot, and you'd get your meat stuffs ready in the other, and then you would build them together into a cast iron or to a Dutch oven. You're going to sprinkle those breadcrumbs in there and let it all culminate into a delicious dish, satisfying your taste buds and those of your peers. But again, we're not French and we're not traditional, so we're doing it this way. Alright, so our beef has been browned off. Pull that out. Got our cast iron all ready to go for the next step. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to go in with our bacon. You don't want your temperature up too high because we want to render this down. Render is just a fancy term for cooking it till it's gone. Right? We want to let all that fat and that bacon melt away and become the base for our stew. Right? It's going to be the grease for everything else. So you remember I talked about we're leaving the chorizo out. That's that Spanish influence, right? That's the Moors. You're welcome. All right, bacon has cooked down. Now we're going to go at this dish with our onions. You can slice the onions, you can dice the onions. That's really just a personal preference. I've used half of a large yellow onion. Yellow onions, the sweeter ones, right? If you don't want that sweetness to it, you can go with a white, give you a nice little bite there. One of my favorite smells. Bacon and onions, and when we add this garlic, I'm telling you, that's why these videos aren't for kids. Try to make a PG version, but Something about bacon and garlic just takes away the innocence. Alright, so we're going to let this cook down a little bit. We want to caramelize these onions. Let those natural sugars come out and flavor this dish. Remember, we are building our flavors. Alright, so we've got some nice color on our onions now. Bacon is smelling super sexy. And you know what's coming next. You know me. Good old heaping spoon of garlic. Get in there. Alright, we're going to get this stirred around. Make you want to slap your friend's estranged stepmom because it's less likely you'll be in trouble. No, we don't condone violence. Alright. Get that mixed in well. Alright. We've got the temperature turned down. Right. It's going to slowly cook this up. Now, I'm going to go in with a sprig, I say, of rosemary, just for that added flavor. I'm going to throw in a little bay leaf. Get it out of there. Boom. We're going to go in with our little piece of clove. Little old clove there. Packs a big punch. Good for your toofs. Alright. And then we're going to go in with the beans. Now, I'm using a northern bean. It's a northern white bean. No offense. You can absolutely use canned. Nobody's judging you out loud. So we're going to go in there with our beans. Alright. Now, I have heated my stock. I'm about to grab my beef stock here. I've heated my beef stock, and the reason I did that is because I did not want to go in with cold stock and bring the temperature down of the entire pan, right? So we're going to heat it up a little bit. And we're going to go in with our beef stock. If you're using dried beans, you know, you want them absolutely covered. You want them to float. They're going to absorb a lot of that liquid for you before it's all said and done, all right? Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with my celery, right? You're asking, well, why didn't you put it in there to begin with? I want it to hold up just a little bit, right? If we had put it in with everything else, cooked it down with the onions, it is more likely that that will disintegrate by the time this is all said and done. We're going to let these beans come up to a nice little simmer. Now, I soaked these overnight. If you're using the canned version, obviously you can dispatch with that. You won't need to do that. Now, I soaked these, so we're going to want to bring them up to a simmer, right? A nice soft roll, not boiling. And once we get them there and they become tender, that's when we're going to go in with our beef, right? Because we cut that beef into small chunks. Now, if you want to throw this in and walk away, go and check the game, by all means that you can. You just want to cut your beef into a slightly larger chunks than what we have because you don't want that beef to also fall apart in the pan. So, before we all shut it down and let these things do what they do, right? Let's go in with the rest of our seasoning. So we're going to go in with a little bit of thyme. Alright. Remember, because I did not put the chorizo in, I'm going in with a little bit of chili powder. Just a hair. Alright. It's been about 20 minutes or so, and our beans have tried a little tenderness. They're starting to get to where we want them. All right, remember we're using dried beans, so it's obviously going to take us a little bit longer to get to the end results there. That is no worry, baby. We've got nothing but time. All right, so since our beans are halfway there, right, I'm going to make a little space. I'm going to get as much beef into this pan as I possibly can. Now we're keeping it at a nice simmer. Don't need it to be a hot rolling boil. Want it to take its time. Could you do it in a crock pot? Sure. Sure you could. I mean, why not? Why not? Set it and forget it and all that jazz. Can we get it all in there? Oh, yes, we can. Beefy, baby. All right. So our beans have come over to the done side. We'll reduce that heat just a little bit. Last little thing we're going to do, we're going to throw in our tomatoes, our tomate. Right. Throw that right in on top like that. Get that mixed in. We're going to let this ride for about another 10 minutes or so. Just want to let those tomatoes cook through a little bit. And then we're going to have the tester come on in. Alright. We finally made it to the end. We've been patient. We didn't overstir. Right? Let's plate this thing up, right? It's the simple part. It's the second easy part. Second easiest part of this whole thing, right? Just gonna pour that goodness right into our bowl. Get some of these juices. Look at that there. Now, at this point, you could garnish that with a little bit of thyme leaves, sprigs there, a little fresh parsley and whatnot. But we've got some leftovers, so we're going to do a little green onion. Boom, right there on top. There's our slice of cornbread. You going to eat yours? Cassoulet. Well, let's get the tester in here. Alright, gang. So that was it. Little French cassoulet, little stew, right? Little beef stew. Remember, we left out the chorizo. I left out the breadcrumbs. We've got the cornbread popping. We're here in the South. That's how we're going to do it. Please, if you like it, hit the little like button. If you want to be notified, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe. Come and check us out. Let us know in the comments what you think. If you make the dish at home, please let me know how it turns out for you. Also, go out there, check out the Black Nun, the Negroid Nun. All right? And have a good one. Thanks for coming along on this adventure.